Josh Hartnett wanted to be seen as more than a Hollywood heartthrob at the start of his career. The actor, who next stars in the M. Night Shyamalan thriller Trap, had his big screen debut as Jamie Lee Curtis' son in 1998's Halloween H20, 20 years later. That was followed up by The Faculty and The Virgin Suicides, and eventually memorable roles in Pearl Harbor and Black Hawk Down by 2001. Hartnett soon became the object of teen fandom, but he tells people the Heartthrob label was frustrating for him at the time. "I was frustrated because I assumed audiences cared more about my choices than they did. Audiences mostly just want to be entertained," says Hartnett, 46. While he gravitated to characters who were quite a bit different from the average hero at that point, soon, "I did a couple of heroic films and everybody wanted me to play those kinds of roles and that's what I was being offered. Really," he continues, "the door kind of shut on those other more interesting characters for me unless I sought them out and kind of helped the directors get them made." The actor recalls learning early on, though, to be very true to myself. Says Hartnett, "Because if I lost that in the midst of all these other opinions and in the midst of all this fame, I might lose myself entirely. And I didn't want that. I was in my early 20s. At that point in your life your frontal lobe isn't fully formed and your idea of self isn't fully actualized. So to have everybody sort of with a million different opinions on what they would like you to be before you know who you are is not healthy," he says. "I knew that at the time." Hartnett says he opted to seek out roles that appealed to him, not the major mainstream projects some expected him to pursue. "I didn't want to be defined by other people. I wanted to define myself, and I knew that what I responded to in film was different than what people were offering me," he says. Hartnett, who appeared in last year's Oscar-winning Oppenheimer plus a recent guest role on FX's The Bear, says, "I think the media created a story very simply that I was crazy and I walked away from the brass ring. It was more like I had a different vision of what I wanted than the media or the companies that were in charge of the movie business wanted me to be," he explains. "I just kept doing the thing I wanted to do. Luckily now people find that more interesting." Now in the midst of a career renaissance, Hartnett says it's extraordinarily flattering that people are interested in what I'm doing right now. "I feel really lucky that I've been able to make, I think, consistently interesting work over the course of my career. And now people are more interested in it," he says, adding also that he's really happy that people are rediscovering or discovering for the first time some of the earlier films I've made. Which films do people most approach him to discuss? Virgin Suicides is huge right now. "Everybody likes talking to me about Virgin Suicides," he says. "A lot of people like to talk to me about Lucky Number 11. I had a lot of people come up to me and talk to me about the Black Dahlia,"